Hello YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of getting into Feed the Beast with uNhumuN. I look like Steve again because my internet is down. Again. Don't live in a small town, it sucks. Well, at least the internet sucks. But last time, I think we went over making this system a little better by making the ender chest and the ender pouch, which I've been using the heck out of, and there's been a few things that have happened since then. I've upgraded my power system a lot, actually, and you'll see that I've actually added some new blocks you've never seen before. I've got these different colored energy flux ducts, and we'll go over that in a second. I've also added a ton more of these generators. It goes clear down there now, and the reason is because in order to get this ender quarry working, the thing we talked about last time that we're gonna make, we're gonna need a lot of power. We're also gonna need a lot of new things. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Now, in order to get this working how we want it to, I've also built this room. I'll explain what that's for. We're going to need a lot of some new resources that we haven't quite used yet. We're going to need a ton of obsidian, which we have used, and for that I've built this little pickaxe right here. It's built out of something called alumite. Let me just show you guys that really quick. Alumite is one of the stronger resources you can make using the smeltery. It takes obsidian, iron, and some aluminum, and it can mine all the way up to the cobalt level, which is a type of ore that you find in the nether. But anyway, I made this pick specifically, as the name implies, for mining obsidian. It's got a mining speed of 30, as you can see, which is about 10 times better than my Thor's hammer. However, it can only mine one block at a time. It mines obsidian like there's no tomorrow, though, and we're going to need a bunch of that. Also, another thing that we need is we need some sheep. I've got those guys right over here. You're going to need some wool. Sorry, this is really loud over here. Anyway, you're going to need plenty of wool. You're going to need some cows. I've got cows. I also set up some guards. I went and I raided some villages, and I found this potato gun. Well, okay, not potato gun. It has an electronic potato on it, but what it really is a portal gun, and it's a lot of fun. Check this out. I'ma just look like way over here at that tree, and I'll shoot, and then I can shoot one here and jump in, and look at where I just landed. Right over by that tree. There's my house. I freaking love this thing. Oh, except for I just went through twice. Not bad. Anyway, check out this little blurb that I made on it.
I'm so happy, oh, lucky me. I just go my way, living every day. I don't worry, worrying don't fit me. Things that bother you never bother me. Things that bother you never bother me. I feel happy and fine. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Having got a lot, I don't need a lot, coffee's only a dime. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Just take it from me, I'm just as free as any daughter. I do what I like, just what I like, and how I love it. I'm right here to stay when I want to pray. I'll be right in my prime. Living in the sunlight, loving in the moonlight, having a wonderful time. Just take it from me, I'm just as free as any daughter. I do what I like, just what I like, and how I love it. I'm right here to stay when
needless to say, I had a ton of fun with the portal gun, and now you guys can see, actually, that I utilized it to make my little farms here. Later, I'm going to actually automate the sheep one. That'll be pretty useful. Most of my guards are dead, unfortunately. They didn't last very long. These two, though, these two have been survivors. This guy's about to die. I hopefully can get some splash potions for him. But anyway, so you need obsidian to pull off this big project we're going to do. You're going to need wool to pull off this big project you are going to need to do. You're going to need sugar cane. I went a little overboard on the actual necessity for sugarcane, but I did set it up with my automated farm, so now we are actually just harvesting sugarcane automatically, or at least we would be if this chest wasn't full. Alright, and so let's go ahead and talk about the why of everything we're doing here. Why do we need obsidian? Why are we going to need wool? The reason, first off, is for the purpose of what I made this room for. You're going to need a room like this. What this room will do is that's a grinder that I built. Here's the recipe. Oh, I took an arrow to the knee. Love it! Anyway, grinder. That's how you make it. You need an Invar sword. You should know how to make Invar. Books, that's why you needed the sugar cane. And the rest of these items should be familiar. But this automatically will kill mobs and then collect their items and spit them out into the chest behind it. It also collects what's called mob essence, though. Mob essence can be used later. I have a system for converting it directly into experience, actually. And so mob essence is a fluid. Oh, gosh, die. Anyway, mob essence is a fluid, and so it'll just pump into this temperate fluid duct into this tank. Now the tank takes obsidian. It's not like the reason we need obsidian, but it is a reason. We're also later going to use the second tank that is in my computer, because you can see this makes two of them, for transferring our experience into the computer, because you can see I'm carrying around 68 levels right now, and if I were to do anything with it like enchanting, it would just be a waste of time, and we're going to need that experience later anyway for building the Ender Quarry. Let's actually go ahead really quick and go through a few things on the Ender Quarry, what it needs. If I click on it, you'll see a bunch of items, and only two of those should be familiar. That would be the pickaxe and a sapling of some kind. We've got Ender-infused obsidian. We've got Ender Core that takes more Ender-infused obsidian. Eye of Ender, magical wood. The Ender-infused obsidian takes obsidian, like I was saying. That's why we got our big pickaxe. We also need an Ender Pearl, and that Ender Pearl is actually the main reason we're building this room for now. We're going to spawn some Endermen into here, and they'll be put on conveyor belts that will push them towards this grinder. I know, it sounds pretty cruel, but anyway, you'll push them into the grinder, they'll get grinded up, their Ender Pearls will get stuck into this chest, their mob essence will be stuck into here, and then both will be, like, assimilated into the computer. And that's the purpose of this room. Continuing with the recipe, though, the next bit is this magical wood. It says that it can be built doing all of this. I've never, ever built it that way. What I'm going to do instead is use a fluid transposer with liquid experience and a bookshelf to make that magical wood, and that is why we're going to need to get that second tank set up to where I can put my experience from my inventory, you know, or wherever it's stored on Steve anyway, into the computer, is so that we can make that magical wood, and eventually we will end up with a quarry. The last item that we'll need is this Ender Thermic Pump. A lot of this should look familiar to you. In fact, all of this will look familiar to you by now because you've learned about the Ender-infused obsidian. But let's go ahead and get started by trying to build the spawning system for the Enderman. That's really what we're going to be going over today. Now, first thing you need to know is that you remember those hardened flux ducts that we were using? These guys, the gray-looking ones? They do not transfer enough power to run a spawner. We're going to be using something, I think it's called a powered spawner. Let's look. It's right here. Yep, powered spawner. If I look at it, it's got a whole bunch of new things that we're gonna have to go over. It also has like this weird machine chassis thing, but that's pretty easy to make. It's going to require some new machines like this slice and splice that we've never used before. It's just going to require us to make a whole new line of machines. And this will all come together, though. Don't be overwhelmed. It will all come together by the end of the episode. I've done this, several times, and so it'll be good. It'll be good. As I was saying, though, the powered spawner does require more energy, and that's why I've actually replaced a lot of my old flux ducts, like these guys, with the new redstone energy flux duct. This can transfer 8,000 RF per tick, whereas those can only transfer 800. They're a bit of a pain in the butt to make, though. Like, if you look at them, it's right here, flux duct. First, you need to make them using hardened glass. Again, that's obsidian mixed with lead in the smeltery. You got, one piece of lead will cover 2 pieces of obsidian to get that hardened glass. After that, though, you mix it with electrum. Electrum is produced by mixing gold and silver together in equal proportions. After that, you put redstone into the magma crucible that we've got upstairs, if you guys remember what that looks like. It's right here. You'll put redstone in here, and then you put the empty flux ducts in here. They'll fill up with the redstone and give you those redstone energy flux ducts. So a lot more work than building those hardened ones, but they have 10 times the transfer rate, so pick your poison. This is also important. These can store up to 20 million RF, whereas before we were only storing 1 million. The only purpose that this even serves anymore is to charge my jetpack. I'm not even having this feedback into the system because I have 60 times the amount of energy stored as I did before. The way that you make those is pretty similar to making that flux duct if we looked at the energy cells. You have this with, again, electrum. We've got some lead in there. The conductance oil, that's a coil, not oil. That's a new one. It takes electrum, and you build this by doing the same thing. Destabilize redstone into here using the fluid transposer, and that is built, same ingredients, hardened glass, electrum, and then a diamond in the middle. So I built 3 of those just to build a nice buffer for my system to power this spawner. It's gonna eat a lot of energy for sure. Last thing for me to explain before we start actually building the spawner like we want to is this right here. That is called a smart cable. That's hooked up to my computer, and what it does is if you look up there at the top, you'll see that it says 0 out of 8 channels. Now, a channel in applied energistics is... Ah, crap, I forgot my jetpack. Wow, it was in my inventory. Continuing on. As you can see, though, this cable is hooked up to my computer. Now, these channels... what they do is one channel can operate one process. Like if we were to go back inside, you guys remember that I have the ender chest hooked up to that import bus. The import bus is taking one channel, but you can't see it on this glass cable because it's not a smart cable. But that channel is still being used. This crafting terminal is using a channel, and then this ME drive is also using a channel. So we've got 3 channels feeding in to this side of the cube, right? So this glass cable can only handle 8 channels, but you can't see how many channels are being used because it's not a smart cable. The reason I wanted to use the smart cable is because you can see the number of channels that are being used, so you don't accidentally try to feed more channels into it than it can handle, The way to make those smart cables, though, if we go into the NEI, we can see that, is you're going to need a covered cable mixed with some redstone and wool, and you get the covered cable by mixing a normal Fluix cable with a piece of wool. Wait. I think I said that wrong. Fetch. And that's why you're going to need plenty of wool, guys, is so you can get more of these smart cables and keep track of your keep track of your channels. Yeah, I explained it. So there we go, tons of explaining there, but we can go ahead and start now building the powered spawner. First off, we're going to need let's start with the electrical steel. How do we get that? You're first going to need steel, which we're going to go over how to make that, or we'll just make some refined iron, we'll get there. We're also going to need silicon, which looks familiar. You put it into this thing called an induction smelter, and that induction smelter is built by using a bucket with some Invar, a normal machine frame will cut it, Invar gears, and a reception coil. So I'm going to go ahead and build that really quick. There we go, I've got that. The induction smelter is now done. I can go ahead and place that next to all of our other machines in this room. So the next thing we need, if you remember, was steel. You can also just use refined iron ingots, and the way that we do that is by mixing coal dust or pulverized dust, whatever, and an iron ingot into the induction smelter, which is exactly why we needed this. I've found this, actually, in my opinion, to be the easiest way to make steel. I really like this way, so I'm going to go ahead and grab just a half stack of iron and a full stack of coal, and then we'll stick that in there and start getting some steel produced. Okay, so remember, to get the pulverized coal, naturally you do have to stick it into these pulverizers first. They should just get stuck in the chest because there's really nothing to refine those into, so they're not going to be fed into these redstone furnaces. Okay, there we go. We'll take the pulverized coal and go ahead and stick it in here. We'll stick the iron in here, and that will start working. It does take quite a bit of time, so we're going to work on a few other things while we're just waiting for that. I mean, we just got our first piece of refined iron anyway. So the next thing we needed was some silicon, and if you guys remember this, we get silicon by putting sand through the pulverizer. So let's see if we even have sand, which it looks like we do. That's great. I'm going to go ahead and stick these guys into the pulverizers. Okay, so now that's being done. Next off is that we're going to need one of these machine chassis. You're going to need some iron bars. We all know how to make that, hopefully. You're also going to just need some standard iron and a capacitor, so I'll head back to the computer. Let's start by making the iron bars. We'll need just like 4 of those. We will need the iron right here like this. Then we need a piece of copper, if I'm remembering correctly. We'll need redstone on each side here. And then finally we're going to need some gold nuggets. There we go. We'll need 4 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4. Like that. I don't remember why I made 4 of those. I didn't have a reason. Anyway, machine chassis is now done. So, what's next on our list is these vibrant crystals. In order to make them, you need an emerald, which I've actually already got some. If you don't have emeralds, just go find a village. I've got one pretty close to home, right up here. And what I did is I went there and I traded coal to somebody for emeralds. You can also trade wheat. Wheat and coal are usually your best bets for trying to gather emeralds. But anyway, I do have some of those. So let's go ahead and grab it. Then surrounding that emerald is a nugget of what's called a vibrant alloy. Let's look at that. You make that, of course, by breaking down the vibrant alloy. And then if I shift through these pages, you'll see that, again, the induction smelter, we're going to need an ender pearl. We're also going to need this energetic alloy. Getting an energetic alloy is going to take this thing called an alloy smelter. We're going to have to build one of those. You mix gold with some redstone and some glowstone dust. So let's go ahead and see how to make this alloy smelter. We're going to need another machine chassis, some iron ingots, furnaces, and then a cauldron. Not too bad, especially since we've already got one of those capacitors already made. We'll put that in there, mix it with the iron. Chunk, 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 and that should have worked. Oh, duh, I didn't build the machine chassis. Here, we'll just put that one in there for now. Ding! And I'll make another one. Okay, there we go. Now we've got another machine chassis. Anyway, alloy smelter. I'm going to just head back into this same room again. There we go. We've got the alloy smelter. Let's go ahead and go grab our piece of iron, the redstone, and the glowstone. Okay, I'm going to put the gold up in the middle. Redstone will be right there. Glowstone will be right there. Okay, we've got our energetic alloy. Now then, it looks like we're actually going to need 2 of those energetic alloys because we need a total of 16 vibrant alloy nuggets. So I'm going to have to go mining again. Mining is something that you guys are just going to do a lot of. So be prepared for that. That's why we made Thor's hammer a long time ago. You know, that's why we made this ender pouch. Okay, I've got another piece of gold. I'm going to go ahead and just put that into the alloy smelter. And let's go ahead and check on this. We've got all of our refined iron done. We can go ahead and turn this energetic alloy into the vibrant alloy by mixing it with an ender pearl. There we go, vibrant alloy. This should be done any second here. Okay, we'll take both of these emeralds, go ahead and surround them in these vibrant alloy nuggets, and there's our 2 vibrant crystals. Done deal. Now, we need this Z logic controller, kind of a weird thing. We also still need to make the electrical steel, so let's go ahead and do that. Now, electrical steel is something that you're going to use a lot of, so I'm going to go ahead and just make a half stack of it. It's not that much, but again, refined iron is a bit of a pain to make, so we'll just call 16 good for now. Now, the Z logic controller comes from a slice and splice. You're going to need some solarium, some silicon. The only thing in here that shouldn't look familiar is the solarium, which is pretty easy to make. It's just another piece of gold with the induction smelter and a piece of soul sand, and you'll get that. It's pretty easy. We'll actually end up using solarium on a number of occasions. You won't need it in bulk, but you will want at least maybe like a stack of it. Since gold is in pretty short supply, I'm only going to make 8 of these pieces of solarium for now. I need to go mining. That's pretty much all there is to it. Okay, so now we've got our solarium, so I'm going to pull those out of there. Let's grab a couple of pieces of silicon, because we know we're going to need that as well. We're going to need a zombie head and a piece of redstone. We're also going to need a pair of shears and an iron axe, so let's go ahead and make that as well. And then, now we gotta actually build the slice and splice. I don't think it's too difficult if I'm remembering right. Yep, it's like 5 pieces of solarium, a machine chassis, another iron axe, another pair of shears, another zombie head, so not too bad. There we go, I've got it all in the crafting terminal. I'll go ahead and pull that out now. We're going to just set it up next to the rest of pretty much everything else. This one, you won't be using that often though, so don't be too particular about your placement. It really isn't the kind of item you're going to use all the time. We'll put in our pieces of solarium, the zombie head, redstone, and then what was that last item we need? Just a couple of pieces of silicon. We've got those right here, and it will start automatically building that. Z-Logic controller right there. I think that's everything that we needed. We're going to need some kind of a head to go up here. It doesn't seem to matter what kind, so we'll head back to the computer. Put the Z-Logic controller there, the 2 vibrant crystals, the electric steel, the machine chassis, and then just some kind of head. Now, in order to make this powered spawner into something, if you read it says combine with a broken spawner and an anvil. So, when you break a spawner and feed the beast, just a vanilla spawner, it actually doesn't go away. It doesn't disappear. What it does instead is it gives you a broken version of the spawner. The same thing. We need an Enderman spawner though, and as you can probably guess, those really aren't naturally occurring, not even in Feed the Beast. So what we're going to need to do instead is we need to make an Enderman spawner. And the way that we're going to do that is by making an Enderman broken spawner. You'll take any type of broken spawner and mix it with this soul vial that will have an Enderman in it, and then it will create an Enderman broken spawner. So let's look at this soul vial here. We just need 3 pieces of fused quartz, specifically. That comes from the alloy smelter. We should be able to make that without too many problems. There we go, I've got the quartz in the alloy smelter, that's going to spit it out, and then after that, what we'll need is just another piece of solarium. Unfortunately, I have 1 left, so let's go ahead and wait for fused quartz, I guess. This soul vial is really useful. You right click on a mob to capture its soul, right click again to release it. It's pretty much like a big Pokeball, just like called the soul vial. I can go up to this creeper and just like, there we go, now he's in here. I can maybe drop him, you know, from up here and he'll get hurt. Whack! It's like a Pokeball. I love this thing. For now though, we do need to go and find an Enderman. We'll go ahead and do that. Whoop-peck! Okay, I've already harvested a broken spawner in the past. I ran across a cave spider spawner. I think it's that right there, yep. And we're just going to use that. We do still need, though, one of these soul binders. And keep in mind, this costs a ton of RF. Well, I mean, we've got like 60 million in storage, so not really. But it's going to take quite a bit of RF. And as a result, I'm going to want to hook it up to my higher powered, these guys right here. Not the low powered one, not this. Soul binder is made using solarium, zombie head, skeleton skull, creeper head, and an enderman head all around a machine chassis. I think I have a couple of those heads, but not all of them, and so we're going to have to confront how to more efficiently get heads. Fortunately, I do know how to do that. What you're going to want is a tool called a cleaver. A cleaver automatically has a 20% chance to behead something, but you can actually take that a step further, and if you mix that cleaver with some obsidian, I want to say that it's actually going to make the chance to behead a lot higher. I could be remembering wrong, but we'll find out. It's been a little while since we've used our part builder and little Tinker's Construct stuff. For some reason all my patterns are gone, which is a little frustrating, but that's alright. In order to make this cleaver, it's on the tool forge only. We're going to need a plate, we're going to need that cleaver head thing, and 2 tough tool rods. So the only new thing I really need, creeper. Anyway, the only new thing I'm going to need is this large blade pattern. So I've got that. We're going to go ahead and stick it into the part builder. We'll make that. I go back over to here. I should have a couple of pieces of aluminum brass just lying around, so we're going to put that in there. There we go. We've got aluminum brass in there. We're going to go ahead and put this large blade pattern right there. Get the cast for it. Bum bum. Actually, we're going to put this back down right there. I'm going to be making mine out of iron just because I've got lots of iron. So that's going to be the easiest way for me to do it. We'll put down the tough tool rod, and then also we needed the large plate. These are done. I also want to put away those casts because there's no point in just leaving them out. I want to get rid of this large blade stone thing. I built something over here called a void chest. It's just obsidian surrounding a piece of ender pearl. That's how you make it. And what it does is if you put something in there, it just goes away. It's a garbage can. That's all it does. And I've been wanting one for quite a while. So like if I get random skeleton bows, I can put those in there. And no more dealing with skeleton bows. It's pretty good. Okay, let's go ahead and put the ingredients in here that we need. We need those 2 tough rods, all of that, and there we go. We've got an iron cleaver. Comes pre-built with beheading 20%. You will also be needing some ender pearls for that, and now if we shift click again, you'll see that the chance went up from 20 to 30%. I'm just going to go ahead and use all 3 of my modifiers on that. Now we have a 50% chance to behead. I've got to go and hunt some endermen because that's the first thing that we're going to need. Now, as you guys can imagine, I bet, this is going to also come in handy later for when we're going to need wither skeleton heads to summon the wither, get us some nether stars for some more advanced recipes and such. I got the stupid freaking enderman head. Dude, you have to kill like a dozen of those guys. 50% chance my backside. There was no 50% chance about that beheading enderman. It just took forever. Okay, soul binder. So we needed all 4 of those heads. 1 more machine chassis. Guess it's a good thing I made 4 of those capacitors, right? Forever ago. There we go, we've got that. We'll hit the X on that. We'll put in our 4 heads. I don't remember exactly where they go. We'll look that up later. I'm also just going to put away a bunch of random stuff that we don't need anymore. Okay, we'll go ahead and put the solarium where it belongs, and I actually got the heads in the right spots. Nice! I mean, wait, hold on. Yeah, it does matter. Okay, there we go. Soul binder. Holy friggin' crap. Got it. Next, we're going to put this in this room. Again, we want to put it on our high output redstone flux duct here because the other one just isn't going to have a high enough output to keep up with it. We will put the broken spawner in here. We'll put the Enderman soul in there. It's going to use 15 levels of player experience. Now, I'm at level 70, which means that if I use my experience now, it's going to use way more than I otherwise could. This is a pretty easy fix, though. I made that tank earlier. I'm going to pull that out. Also, I'm going to need some iron bars again. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to turn it into an iron grate, or an XP drain like that. There might be an easier way though, hold on. Yeah, I was going to use this experience rod, which eventually I will. You just right click on a fluid tank, and shift right click will get rid of all your levels. It's a lot faster than the drain, but it takes some resources that I just don't have right now. So I'm going to go ahead and actually make that XP drain. We're going to set up the tank right next to my computer. I'm just going to put it up here. It's not the most convenient place, but if I stand on it, now you'll see that my experience is being drained into that tank. It'll fill up pretty quick though, so what we have to do next is have to link that to the computer to start storing the fluid in there. That's going to take a new type of hard drive. It's going to take a fluid storage component, which is made using lapis instead of redstone, but everything else is the same. So I'm going to build just a big one of those really quick to store experience in the computer. Okay, now in order to turn this into a storage that I'll put in the hard drive slot, I need just quartz glass, some Fluix dust, my 16K storage component I just made, and this Certus quartz tank. Those are freaking expensive as heck, but fortunately I should actually have the ingredients on hand, so at least that's good. I'll grab 3 of those, put them in there, put that there. I have some Fluix dust, so that's good. And then the last thing was, oh, more glass. Man, those are expensive. If you can get away with making as few of those as possible, you'll probably be set. I'm going to put that down in the bottom right, though. That's just my usual. The next, though, is that I need an import bus. It's going to be different from the item import bus, though. It's got to be the fluid import bus. And that's made using another annihilation core, some lapis, sticky piston, and iron. So we will have to make another of those annihilation cores, but the recipe is pretty simple, just like that. Okay, I'm also going to need a glass cable to just attach to it. So let's go ahead and put the glass cable on there. We'll put the the import bus on there, and voila, you can see that that experience is now being drained. I'm going to stand here for a while and just wait for my levels to go down. There we go, and if we go and look inside the computer, I actually can't see it on this terminal. I need to get a special type of terminal that I'll deal with later. It's a fluid terminal. It's going to be right there, but right now I'm not really in the mood to make that. I will be in a second here probably, but you can see that that now has some storage used up inside of it, and that is all as a result of the experience that I just had. However, you will naturally need a way to access that experience, so what we need to do now is we actually need to make an export fluid bus. And that's done basically the same, just formation core instead, and we'll also need a normal piston, so let's just get rid of those 2. Now we've got one of those. Let's go ahead and make a fluid terminal really quick. I mean, we might as well. And fluid terminal, I can now put that on here do keep in mind this also costs a channel. Right click that, you'll see we have 181 buckets of liquid XP. That's a lot. I guess my guy had to pee something fierce. I mean, you know, that's kind of what it looked like. Anyway, we need to be able to get this experience back and have it accessible to us. My simple solution is to build another one of these tanks and have that fluid export bus on the tank at all times. That way you can right click it and get your levels back, but that will require another one of those tanks. There we go. That's how you build that tank, 4 in the corner with some glass panes. I'm going to put that away. We'll put the tank somewhere, just, I don't know, somewhere special. We'll figure that out. Oh wait, actually, yeah, I can put it there. Duh. Anyway, I'm going to put the export bus on here. Now what you need to do is you need to tell this what to export. It's going to reach into the computer and grab something to export, but in order to do that, I have to tell it what. And the way that you do that is you just take a bucket. We did end up needing this fluid terminal. I'm going to select it. I'm going to put the bucket in, and it gives me an XP bucket. I come back over here, select the export bus, and just click that in there, and now it'll start filling that up with experience. In order to empty this bucket, I just do that and put it in that slot, and it empties the bucket. Ta-da, done deal. Okay, lastly is for me to get my experience, I just right-click that. That's it. I needed 15 levels, so we're going to grab all 15 of those levels, come back over to our soul binder, we're going to use player XP, and it starts to work. It's going to take quite a lot of time though, but as you can see it is keeping up with the power demand, so that's great. We'll come back as soon as it's done. Alright, so actually we're going to do one more thing. It says to combine the powered spawner with the broken spawner on an anvil, which, oh, let's be careful with that, which means we will need the an anvil, which I don't have, so let's grab some iron really quick. Oh, there we go. I think we're going to have to go get more iron. Wow, go figure, I'm actually out of iron. I guess it does happen occasionally. I should have plenty left over in here, though. We've got, well, not plenty. We've got 94 ingots. But we do need an anvil, so I'm going to go ahead and just build these real quick. And even after all that time, this is only at 64%. But I mean, hopefully you guys can at least see why we needed this upgraded power system. 2.5 million RF would have emptied this guy 2.5 times over. Let's charge our jetpack too, that needs to happen. Okay, finally we have an Enderman spawner, so we'll go ahead and pull that out of there. We'll take that spawner and plug it into the anvil. It says it's going to cost 30 levels. And finally we have an Enderman powered spawner. It's about time. I'm going to pull that out of there, and we need to hook this up in this room. I'm going to put it probably just like right, well, first we need to power it, I guess. We're going to need some more of these flux ducts. There we go, we've run some power back there. Next I'm going to just put it probably right here. Yeah, that'll do, that'll do. Now if I click on this, you'll see that I've got progress happening for spawning Endermen. It's fully fueled up. Its maximum amount of RF that it can use right now is 1600 per tick. That's fine because we're supplying 8000 right now, so that's great. And when it's done, we now have Enderman. He's going to just walk into that, and I mean, that worked. But I don't want to rely on Enderman having to walk into this in order for things to happen. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some conveyor belts down. You know, actually, surprisingly, that's working really well even without the conveyor belts. I think I can actually get away with not even using conveyor belts in here. That's kind of handy. Yeah, I don't even need conveyor belts. That's cool. Okay, well then, brilliant. This setup right here works just fine without the conveyor belts. I like that. Last thing to do is to have the items automatically go into our computer, as well as this mob essence. So we're going to need another fluid import bus and another just normal import bus. Let's set those import buses up in their respective locations, one on that chest, and it will start pulling out, I don't really know much of that. Anyway, it'll start pulling out these ender pearls, and this other stuff, and then we'll go ahead and put the fluid bus on this side to start drawing out the mob essence. Alright guys, and that should be everything for today. Sorry that was a pretty long episode, but the fruits of our labors are good. We've got an automated ender pearl farm. Oh, that guy's gonna try to kill me. Heh. Grinder's gonna get you. Anyway, oh, shoot. Yeah, don't look at the Enderman. Don't look at the Enderman. What the heck? What are you doing in my... Oh, shoot. Anyway, next time we should be able to build this ender quarry. We're going to have to get a ton more obsidian. I'm just probably going to take care of that on my own, so you guys don't have to watch me mine. But we'll build that. And also, to make this work properly, we're going to have to build something called a tesseract. We'll go over what that is next time and how to build that. You're going to see some new items here. You need ender pearls for that, I think. Anyway, we'll go over that later. But thanks for tuning in. See you next time.